What's up, everybody? How you doing, Brandon? Hey, Craig. Welcome to Trust Me, Bro.
What's going on?
Hey, Mark and
Nah.
Craig.
Hello.
How you guys
All
doing?
right. Doing good, guys. Thanks very much for hopping on tonight. Appreciate it. So we like
We're
to,
at the end of the season, aren't we?
yeah, it's it. This is it. This is it. It's over. We weren't able to record one on or I guess after week 16, prior to week 17, and then last Monday night, in light of the Damar Hamlin issue, we didn't record an episode there too. So we're playing some catch up here.
Yep.
So yeah, let's talk about how our fantasy seasons ended up. I know, Brandon, you were just saying that you made the playoffs in one of your four leagues. Is that what you're in? Four leagues?
Yeah, it's like a 3.5 league. We do like a family league for fun, like 6-team league, which
Yeah,
we do crazy rosters for that, like super stacked rosters. And
yeah.
I co-managed it with my daughter, who's 8, so
Okay,
that was fun. That's why I was like the half league. We did have a prize. She made it to the finals, but she ended up
nice.
losing my nephew. In the
Yeah.
other 3 leagues, I did get the championship in one, and consolation bracket winner in another, and then the league that we're all in failed pretty bad in that one. It's funny how it always works out, right? You look at your rosters at the beginning of the season, and it's like always the opposite of what you think. I thought I had a pretty good draft in our league, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, that tends to happen. Right after the draft or right after our auction, you end up looking at the team thinking, "Oh yeah, championship, man! This is it. This is the squad right here." Yeah, and then the season happens.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think we all did. You know,
Mhm.
there was like 2 rosters I was really excited about, and then a couple of them I felt like had a pretty good shot. And
Yeah.
I feel like the reason we do this is because along the season you got to pick up those guys on the waiver wire. You got to be active, and you got to see who's out there. So I was kind of looking through my teams, all 4 of them, and one of them I felt like I had a pretty good draft in.
Mhm.
3 of those players I think I'm playing, or I played in the last game.
Yeah.
A couple of my teams, I think I've got 1 player left in the draft.
Really fast.
Starting, yeah.
So you cycled through it pretty hard then in most of your leagues.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah,
How about
I
you,
was
Mark?
in.
How'd you end up?
Well, I played in 4 leagues, and I only made the playoffs in 1 league, and that was my neighborhood league. And so it's a 12-man league on Yahoo that we do it, and the rule for that league is that you have to live here in the neighborhood. And so, it's a bunch of guys, and we all get together at the last week of August, and we draft in person. So it's something we've been doing for, I think, 5, maybe 6 years by now, and it's a lot of fun. I had a pretty good squad there. I was happy with the team I had. Was able to make the playoffs, but made it through the first round, and then got knocked out in round 2. And so I had Tua as my quarterback. Before that, I had Kyler Murray, and so Kyler Murray went out, and I ended up just kind of riding Tua, and the wheels fell off. So that one didn't quite work out. I ended up playing in the 3rd place contest for that particular league, and that paid $60. And the guy I was playing, I had Mixon. I had a 9-point lead, and I had Mixon going into Monday night. And like I said, I was up by 9, and he had Chase and Knox. Knox, the tight end for the Bills, and Jamar Chase. And so with a 9-point lead, it was pretty much, I kind of looked at the 9 points might cancel out Knox, but then it's just going to be Mixon versus Chase, and obviously that game didn't get played. So Mike and I, that's the guy I was playing, we decided to go ahead and split the pot, and then we just donated the $60 to Damar Hamlin's Chasing M Foundation for the toy drive that he started. That I think it was $2,500 goal he had with that toy drive. Yeah. I think he started, I don't know, 2 years ago, I believe. But I've seen on the news that it's close to 7 million, or maybe it's gone over 7 million. But I think they tallied up at least 85,000 of the 7 million was from fantasy leagues. Guys that donated, like the 3rd place prize, like we did. It's like, do I really need $60, or $30 each? Who cares, right? So let's just donate it to a good cause. So that's what we did with it, and I'm gonna do the same thing. Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing with the toilet bowl money that I just won last night. So Yeah, but we can talk a little bit about the game last Monday night and what implications that had on any of your lineups. I already told you mine. How about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely had an effect on me. I was playing for a trophy in one league and then playing for third place in another. I felt like the team I had when I was playing for the trophy, I was going to win that one. Man, I was down by 16 when the game stopped, and I had Burrow and Higgins. He had Gabe Davis and Buffalo D, and felt like that Buffalo D was going to go negative.
Right. Yeah. And Gabe Davis has been garbage all season. Hit or miss. He'll get you 25 one week and then 6 and 3 and 4 the following 3 weeks.
Yeah, and he was on pace for 0 because he had 0. So, so in that one we decided to just co-champion, split spot and co-champion because he had Bills players and KC was playing on Saturday. If KC wins, Bills might not be playing for much. They may decide to sit some people, which they didn't end up doing, but they still had that chance there. And then I'm kind of glad actually because Burrow and Higgins didn't do much of anything. So rolling those guys, which is what a lot of people chose to do, is roll it to take week 18 points, plug them into week 17. But I just didn't feel like I didn't feel like he wanted to do that as much. I felt like he wanted to just kind of split it and go champion. And then I thought, well, matchups are going to be difficult. People sitting possibly. So just kind of let it roll.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. And that solution to me, it wasn't advantageous for me to take advantage of that situation because, I was playing in the toilet bowl. And the guy I was playing, Marcus, he had Josh Allen to go, and I think I was up on him by, I don't know, 10 or 15 points. I forget how many, but obviously Josh Allen could have gotten that many. But, with him, with his points not counting, and that's why it ended up with me in the lead and, him getting no points from Josh Allen. And we could sit here and play the what-if game all night. I could say, well, what if they would have resumed the game and then Josh Allen would have tore his ACL the next, you know what I mean? So who knows, what could happen, right? I could sit here and, speculate, all night long, but I didn't think it was fair to just plug in a whole separate matchup, from the following week, and then just transplant those points into the prior week. And so that's why I felt that let's marry week 17 and week 18, and just count them up because I know that there are some leagues that do that. That do the multi-week championship game. I played actually in a league for this vendor for this company I used to work for, and that's the way they did their championship. And this was I think an ESPN league. And it was back in I don't know maybe 2010 or something. It's been a while, maybe 12 years.
I think you got to set that up early. At the beginning when you start the league, I think you got to set it up that way. I tried to go back and change it after week 17 and just wouldn't let me do it.
Yeah, they lock it up. That makes sense. Yeah, to keep people from tinkering with it. So, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to me, that was an agreeable solution. So that way, because I could have just said, well, too bad, man. Josh Allen didn't play, so I won. See ya. But I decided to at least give him a puncher's chance, and that way he gets the points from last week plus whatever points he earned this week, and I get the same benefit. So ended up taking that and winning the toilet bowl, $50. But that too is going to go over to the Chase and M Foundation. So I'll throw that on the pot or on top of the 7 million, whatever he's already pulled in. So
there you go.
Yep.
Toys for kids.
Yep. Toys for kids. Why not? All right. So, what I'd like to do tonight is talk about some draft disappointments. I've made a list of some people that I drafted among the 4 leagues. Do you guys have some? Okay, so maybe we'll just do like how about if I name off 3 and then we'll go to you, Brandon. You name 3, and then Craig you do 3. So that way we kind of keep this thing flowing. Okay, so first off is Alvin Kamara, AK. Drafted him in the first round with my 10th overall pick. He had 2 games over 20, 6 single-digit games, and he missed 2 games. He ended up ranking as the RB 16, so outside of the RB 1, top 12. Next up, Najee Harris. I paid for him in y'all's league, Brandon and Craig. I paid $54 for him. He had one game over 20. Wound up
He was over $4 this year.
Nah, man. Yeah, only one game over 20. So all these are sub 20 games, except for one.
Yep.
And he rounded.
I was going to say, I know that Najee was a guy that you walked away from the draft feeling pretty good about, and for good reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was killing it the week before, or the year before, but he wound up the RB17. So somewhere as a mid-range RB2, on the season. My last disappointment is Joe Mixon. $52 I bought him for in y'all's league. Almost the same as Harris. Only 2 games over 20. He was a first rounder, the 11th overall for the most part. Ended up ranking as RB12 on the season. So he actually was a RB1, but on a very back end RB1. So those are my first 3 disappointments. How about you, Brandon?
Man, well, I didn't have some of those guys on the list, but I did have Najee on the list for sure. But I mentioned the time you guys invited me on the show here. My number one killer for me was Kyle Pitts.
Yeah,
and I was extra aggressive in trying to get Kyle Pitts this year in both my big money leagues. Bought into the hype. I figured Atlanta was going to be a bad team. They're actually, I think, surprising people, and were a little better on all phases than people had given them credit for. But one area they did not excel in was the passing game. The volume was just extremely low all season, and Pitts they just didn't use them. So looking at his game log here, he had one good game. Right. And that was against Carolina, where he went 5 for 80 and a touchdown. And that wasn't until week 8.
Wow.
So luckily for me, actually, in one of those leagues I drafted him in, a guy had a tight end who ended up getting hurt, and I'm forgetting who it is, but he needed a tight end. And he came to me for Pitts, and I had traded, because Pitts had been so bad, I traded for Zach Ertz.
Okay.
So Pitts was pretty much on my bench in that league, and I'm just waiting for him to wake up. So this guy thinks maybe this is it, and he offers me Chris Godwin for him. And I'm like,
wow,
yes,
yeah, I do that all day long. Yeah.
And then Pitts went right back to where he was. I'm looking here at 4.7, 4.8, 7.3 the next 3 games. Then he gets hurt.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Lucky for me, I ended up with Godwin in that league. So, but overall, Pitts was a 3rd round pick, and I valued him very highly. Very unfortunate. I think my second one would probably be Darnell Mooney. That was a guy I thought was going to be an extremely solid flex play week in and week out. With the upside potential to be the speed guy, right? And I'm like, the Bears also projected to be a pretty bad team. And it's very, very eerily similar, just low passing volume. We all know what Justin Fields did this year. So that, Mooney just was really a non-factor. He did come on later in the season before he went on IR, and did have some nice games. Had a relatively decent floor. But really, I just thought Mooney was going to be a top 20 guy, and I felt really good. I think actually in one of my auction leagues, I got him for $3, and I'm not sure how that happened because he was being valued much higher than that. But Mooney was just not somebody I thought was didn't pan out. So gave you a tight end, gave you a receiver, and then I think for a running back, this is a guy I ended up with, thankfully, in just one league, Chase Edmonds. I was looking at Miami as a breakout offense, and in some ways they achieved that, right? With Tua had some nice games, he had some not nice games, but with Tyreek, with Waddle, they have all those weapons on offense, and I'm like, give me the running back on a good offense, right? Yeah. And Edmonds, I was worried about Mostert even preseason because I knew that with his relationship with McDaniel, with the fact that he did have a decent season the year prior in San Francisco, so I'm like, he's going to be a factor. But I thought Edmonds was the guy, projecting to be the guy. And he was absolutely trash. He gets traded, after how many ever games that was. It wasn't even mid-season, I don't think.
Right.
To Denver. But yeah, Edmonds was a horrible pick. And I don't even think he had any good games.
No. I remember. Yeah, I remember when Edmonds was playing for the Cardinals, and I think James Conner last season, the season of 2021, he kind of came in there and just stole the show. Yeah, I think he had maybe 16, 17 touchdowns that season. So he kind of got phased out of the Cardinals, but he did flash, over there in Arizona. And so I think it was logical to assume that he would have a little bit bigger role in Miami than he did, with Mostert basically stealing the show there. But yeah, I going into the season, I didn't really look at him as much more than a lottery ticket as far as a draft pick. But yeah, I feel you, man, on Pitts. So let me ask you something. Were you a little bit relieved when I guess we traded him away, right? So I guess you were relieved that you traded him away, right? Okay. Because I think a lot of people, that drafted him, as the number 3 tight end off the board were kind of forced to play him and just cross their fingers every week and hope. Yeah, exactly. So you kind of felt obligated to play him, just knowing that, hey, if I bench him or drop him, that all of a sudden he's going to blow up and, score 20 a week for the rest of the season. And you're going to miss out. So you had the FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? But you're just killing yourself with that FOMO because, you're not missing out of anything except for, single digit fantasy points.
You're 100% correct. I had to play him. The other league where I did hang on to him, which is our league, I had to play him. I ended up getting so frustrated, though. I ended up getting David Njoku off waivers, and I was able to play Njoku for a while, which helped. And then, but yeah, once Pitts went on IR, I'm just like, I do feel sense relief. I don't have to play him and get killed every week. I can just go ahead and put Njoku in and get a little bit better result.
Yeah. That's right. How about you, Craig? Who's your top 3 disappointments?
Well, I was right there with you with Kyle Pitts. He was my number 1 disappointment by far this year. Najee, absolutely one of my disappointments.
Yep.
He started coming on there at the end, but
too late
for the bulk of the season. Yeah, too late. You kind of gave up on him at that point.
Yeah.
I'll throw one at you. And it's DeAndre Swift.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. The way he started the season, he was one of my keepers in the Wolfpack League, and he's one of my keepers. I didn't pay a whole lot for him. I think it was maybe $14 or something.
Yeah.
But he was a severe disappointment. I ended up trading him for Zeke Elliott and Antonio Gibson. So a little 2 for 1. I think the week later, DeAndre Swift got hurt, so he was out for a good 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
Zeke was actually pretty solid.
Yeah, he was.
He got me through. Who else? Leonard Fournette let down.
Yeah,
definitely a letdown. There was maybe a couple good games, and for the most part, he was single digits.
Right.
So he was absolutely a disappointment. What else? If I had another disappointment, I dropped him. So he's not even on my roster anymore.
Yeah. All right. So so what I did first was, talked about 3 running backs that I was disappointed by. I'm going to move on to the wide receivers. Deebo Samuel. He was I got him in the second round with the 11th. I guess let's see. I got him in the second round. His ADP was the 6th. The top 6. He was number 6 among all the wide receivers, and he ended up finishing the 26th among all wide receivers. Next up, Mike Evans, ADP, to start off the draft season, 9th, ended up 24th. Gabe Davis, his ADP was 24th, which lands him as a solid, wide receiver 2. I think a lot of people in the fantasy community kind of looked at him as a cheat code after seeing the way that the Bills were playing the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. I think Gabe Davis had 200 plus yards. 4 touchdowns, I think. So everybody kind of looked at him as like, oh yeah, let's get him. But he ended up with 5 double-digit games and only 2 over 20. 8 single-digit games and 1 missed game. Ended up as the wide receiver 34. So yeah, pretty bad. Not too far off. From his ADP was 24, ended up 34. So yeah, I mean, let's just say he's a I don't know, a lottery ticket that didn't quite pan out. Next up, I think we talked about Deontay Johnson, right? Or maybe we didn't. But his ADP was 16th. He ended up finishing 35th, the 35th best wide receiver. So
Wow.
he was a huge disappointment. He used to score a ton of touchdowns with Ben Roethlisberger, but it's just he just doesn't click very well with Pickett. So Deontay Johnson.
He drops a lot of passes.
What's that?
He drops a lot of passes.
Yeah, exactly. I got him in the I got him in the 4th round. He ended up with 10 single-digit games. Next up was Keenan Allen. He was number 10 as his ADP, the 10th overall. He was going in the 3rd round for most drafts. He missed 7 games. He ended up as wide receiver 58. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but if you draft somebody, you expect him to be available, and play on your fantasy team. But missing 7 games, that just kills you, man, because you have to fill that because you drafted him in the 3rd round. So that's usually when you draft someone in the 3rd round, you expect him to be around. So yeah, he's doing good now. I mean, he had a solid game this past Sunday. All right. Last up is Brandon Cooks. He was the 20th wide receiver for ADP. Ended up 56 as far as the 56th best wide receiver this season. People took him in the 5th round. At least I did. And he had 5 single-digit games, and he missed 4 games. So, yeah, huge disappointment. So that's who I got for wide receivers.
Where Cooks was a good one, and he's the guy who burned me in the league too. And he just, I think people looked at him, including myself, as somebody who's just definition of consistency, right? You're thinking you're drafting him as wide receiver 20, you are getting wide receiver 20 out of him.
Yep.
Like he's super safe, and this is the year he wasn't safe.
That's right. Yeah, because over the years he had proven himself consistent. You're always getting at least 10 from him, week in, week out, with upside to get to 22, something like that. They're about in that range, 10 to 22, guaranteed every week. Not this year. You're right, Brandon. All right. Any other players you're disappointed in? I've got 2 tight ends and 1 quarterback I can name off, but unless you guys got anything else.
Yeah, I kind of went in a random order, I guess. With mine, I gave you kind of just like my top 3, but I could throw out like a quick honorable mentions here. One, and it was just really just feels sad to me. It's just Michael Thomas. And with just how much time he's missed in the past couple years, and how it just seems like it was 10 years ago that he was wide receiver 1, best fantasy wide receiver season ever, breaking records and everything. And that seems like that was forever ago.
Sure does.
And, for him to come back this year and finally come in saying, I'm healthy, I'm good to go. He actually has 2 really nice games to start the season. He had 3 touchdowns for 2 games. Weeks 1 and 2. And then I don't know if it happened at what point during the game in week 3, but he posted like 10 points week 3, and that was it. And then he had a dislocated toe. The timetable was always very sketchy for when he's going to be back, and then suddenly they put him on IR and he's done. Getting surgery and so forth. And just I didn't take a gamble on Thomas this year, but I actually would have if the opportunity presented itself. He was too rich in either snake or auction drafts. I didn't want to pay the premium for him.
Right.
But I knew that if he really is healthy, he probably will be a decent contributor. And he just can't stay on the field.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Thomas for sure. And another receiver, and actually was a keeper for me, was DJ Moore, who was just absolutely brutal with Baker Mayfield under center. I don't know what I was thinking, that Baker Mayfield was going to be somehow an upgrade over Sam Darnold and PJ Walker, and there might have been a 3rd quarterback they were using last year in Carolina, where Moore still posted, I think, like a top 15 year. And the desire is, hey, Mayfield's coming in, he's going to be better. Moore's going to get unlocked, even higher than what he really was. And that ended up being obviously very false. So he finished wide receiver 24 on the season, but that's thanks to like a handful of maybe 4 or 5 games where he had really nice games. He was buoyed by that. He had a goose egg in there. He had some one catch for 12-yard gains in there. So he's just a huge disappointment. I definitely would not have kept him, for sure. And then, like, lastly, I would say a quarterback who I thought was going to be somebody that I could wait on and, pass up some of the big names and get some value late in the draft was Matt Stafford. We all know how Stafford's season went. It was just absolutely a season forget, to say the least, and then he ended up going on IR at the end of the season. So, but even when he was healthy, he was just not Matt Stafford. So, big disappointment there.
Yeah, the wheels fell off of Matt Stafford for sure. Didn't quite work out this season. What say you, Craig?
Yeah, and I can see why you buy in on Matt Stafford. He's
with Cup,
just comes off winning the Super Bowl, still has Cooper Cup.
Yeah,
arrows are pointed up, but it just wheels came off. One I bought in on early was Cole Kmet.
Yeah,
he was taunted as one of the higher tight ends to draft. Maybe not one of the top 4 or 5, but he definitely was a name up there, and supposed to have a breakout year. Supposed to be one of the maybe number 2 target for Fields this year, and it just turned out that he was garbage. He started off the year with 2 goose eggs.
That's right.
And didn't break double digits until week 9. Had 2 good games where he was over 20. I think those are both the games that Fields was over 40. It looked like he was about to break out. It's like, this is what I've been waiting for. Maybe I'll go grab him back off the waiver wire. And then just, goes back to the single digits right after that. So, he was definitely a disappointment for me.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do?
Even Dak Prescott to an extent.
Mm-hmm,
like he had 4 or 5 games that he missed. I think he missed 4 games. He's come back and thrown 15 interceptions. I mean, he's had some decent games, but there was some games last year where he was throwing 400 plus yards. 3 or 4 touchdowns. Where you're like, this dude can carry my team. But it's the league's turned into where if you got a quarterback that can rush for 100 yards and a touchdown, and then just happen to throw for some yards and maybe happen to throw for a couple touchdowns, that's your fantasy quarterback right there.
Yeah, for sure. Like Fields, he's the dream fantasy quarterback when he's healthy.
Yeah, Hurts
too. Yeah,
even Pat Mahomes is kind of a more of a passer than a runner, but he still does get out of the pocket.
Or like Lamar Jackson. I mean, but none of those guys can be trusted to stay on the field for the entire season. That's the thing. Is like, if you do happen to draft Lamar Jackson, you're going to want to trade him. You're going to want to trade him out before week 12, because as soon as the fantasy playoffs start gearing up, he's always out. It ends up being the Huntley show. We've seen this the past 2 years. So if you want to rely on Lamar Jackson for weeks 1 through 10 or 11, then just put him on the trade block and get what you can for him, because he's not going to carry you through your fantasy playoffs. He's not. He won't make it.
Yep.
Same thing with Hurts. I mean, Hurts wasn't there for week 17. And I know, Craig, you and I have had a little bit of sidebar on, whether or not to extend fantasy seasons into week 18. But I know I gave you the example earlier today about Derrick Henry and how the Titans chose to sit him for week 17 in anticipation of playing him week 18, because it was a divisional game and they didn't care if they lost in week 17, because all they had to do was beat. Who was that? The Titans were playing the Jaguars. All they had to do was beat the Jaguars, and then they were in the playoffs. And so they intentionally. Yep. So anyway, most fantasy leagues are, competing for their Super Bowl in week 17. If you were a Henry owner and you rode Henry the whole season, getting you 20 plus points a week, all of a sudden it's week 17, your fantasy championship. The Titans are sitting them, and waiting to play him in a divisional game in week 18. So that would have screwed you. Same thing with Hurts. Hurts was out week 17. He came back week 18. So these are just a couple of examples of why, I think that's kind of a old school thinking, to always, play your. We used to always be week 16 was our championship, and you used to, never want to play in week 17 because there's too many teams sitting, resting stars. But I think the NFL has done a really good job lately of putting those divisional games right at the tail end of the schedule in week 18, where you're playing a division rival, and whether or not you win that game is going to a lot of times determine whether or not you even make it to the playoffs. And so I think that's kind of becoming more of a dinosaur, a relic of the past, that you can't play week 18, because it used to be week 17, but now let's just say play the whole season, because otherwise you're just sitting there on week 18 with nothing to do, maybe just playing DraftKings or whatever else you're going to do. But I don't know. Yeah. I'm an advocate for playing the whole season. So,
right. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some merit there.
Yep.
And I kind of like the idea of week 17 and 18 add up points.
Yeah, marry it up. Yeah, just like Marcus and I did. It worked out to my benefit. It very well could have gone the other way. So
yep.
I actually do like that idea of combining, because then you do get the mostly guaranteed, unless somebody's just so far ahead in the standings, that they're going to be playing in week 17. And then 18 is, maybe a little dicey on who you start based on situations with the teams that you're rostering guys on. But even still, to kind of combine that and make it like a 2-week marathon, that'd be kind of nice. Like going into week 18, it's like, man, I'm down by 50, but I like my matchups or whatever. Like you didn't lose.
Yeah, you're still alive. Yeah, you exactly. You're able to keep swinging. You still got another puncher's chance. All right, and so my final disappointments tonight are Darren Waller. He was drafted as the 5th.
Oh yeah.
The
it should have been the first one.
Yeah, the 5th best. The 5th tight end off the board. Let's put it that way. He wound up the tight end number 37. So there were 36 more tight ends in the NFL that scored more than this guy did.
Wow.
He had 3 double.
I think he missed 37.
Yeah, he missed 8 games. Yeah, I know, right? He missed 8 games. Only had 3 double-digit games. I blew $39, by keeping him as a keeper in your league, guys. I had the worst keepers. I kept Darren Waller and Gabe Davis. I thought I was getting value with Gabe Davis. I was like, I got him for $6. I'll just see how that goes.
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't want to see Waller on any of your rosters next year.
Never, man.
You've fallen for that dude hard, maybe twice.
Well, because
he's let you down.
Dude, Chuck beat me in our 10 yards in a Cloud of Dust league with Darren Waller, because we were both in the playoffs.
There it is.
And there was this one week. There was this one game. I think it was a Monday Night Football game or something like that. And it was Carr was just hitting Waller over and over and over. I think he targeted him like 30 times that night. I think he ended up with 10 to 15 catches, had a couple of touchdowns, north of 100 yards, 10 plus catches. And I was like, dude, this guy's a beast. I was like, how do you even know about this guy? I was like, all right, I want to get him on my squad next year. And then the next year, just a huge disappointment. And I was like, well, I give him one more try. Nope, another disappointment. So now,
no, he's done.
Yeah, nope. And then last disappointment, Kyler Murray. Yeah, that guy was the 5th quarterback off the board. There were 4 quarterbacks that people thought were better than Kyler Murray. Ended up the QB 16. So not even in the top 12. Just something wrong with that guy, man. He missed 5 games. He just can't seem to stay healthy. That they just fired their coach today. That Arizona squad is it's a dumpster fire. So
I don't know. Yeah. Kyler Murray fits that mold of what I was talking about.
Yeah,
but he just can't stay healthy. I don't know if it's they can't put the pieces around him or what it is, but
yeah.
Don't bite on that. Let somebody else take that bait next time.
Yep, for sure. So that's it for my disappointments, guys. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a deep dive. Now that the season's completely over, I'm going to go in there and do like a 3-year look back for all these players, that have at least been in the league for 2 or 3 years. And I'm going to come up with a score for each player and the score is going to be for performance is one category, like an average, one for performance, one for consistency, and one for durability. And so you got to get high marks in all 3 of those categories. Because if you average, a pretty high score in all 3 of those, meaning that performance means, you're able to put up some fantasy points, and then consistency is that, on a weekly basis, because I'd rather have a guy that gets me, 17 every week that I can count on than a guy that's going to get me, 33 one week and then 7 the next, and then, and then 13 the next. You know what I mean? I'd want predictable, just like Cooper Kupp.
So you want Zeke Elliott?
Yeah, Zeke Elliott. Cooper Kupp is my example, to tell you the truth. I mean, he's a model consistency. That guy will get you 20 plus every single week. You can just pencil it in before the game even kicks off. You're definitely getting 20 from Cooper Kupp for sure.
I mean, if you're picked 4 later in the draft, ain't happening.
No. I mean, assuming he comes back healthy, but yeah. I think that Stafford did come out today and say that he is 100% coming back next season. So that means Kupp still got his quarterback. And so anyway, I mean, consistency right there, and then durability. I want to look, at the last 3 years, and I mean, because Waller would lose a ton of points for that, so would Michael Thomas. These guys we're talking about, the guys that just can't stay on the field. So if somebody's durability score is sub 50, so they get a less than a 50 as far as on a scale of 1 to 100, then I'm just not going to draft these guys. Just no thanks.
Yeah.
So I think I need to do a little,
I like it.
A little more homework, and just because now, while everything's still fresh on my mind, I go ahead and get everything written down, get everything, get all the homework done, and then dust out that, report that I write to myself when it comes draft time next year. So that way I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we should do a show like right before the draft, and you can just go through all those.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So I'll work on this, over the next couple of weeks, and then stash it away, and we'll be able to bust it out, draft time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, let's see. We can talk a little bit about your playoff challenge, Brandon. I know that's coming up. I saw that the ability to set your lineups is already out there, and so I'll just kind of go through what I do. I make a little, and I'll kind of hide who I'm thinking about, but I make this little chart here. Can y'all see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, I just start with all the the teams, and then just kind of work my way up, based upon the field, and I include the guys, the teams that got the first round bye, and I just come up with a little, just
your own bracket.
Yeah, exactly. My own homegrown bracket here that I write on paper.
Yeah,
and then I think about these games, as to most likely who's going to win what, and then just have it come together and in my mind. And then pick the teams that I think are most likely, to be those top 4 left standing. You know what I mean? Two from each division, and then you kind of go from there. So,
that's the same approach I take. I take that bracket approach. I want guys that are going to go deep in the playoffs. Obviously, playoff challenge is really interesting, and I'm sure all of us have some different strategies on this. I've seen some people win the playoff challenge that goes totally against how I feel like the best chance to win is. And that is exactly what you said, Mark. If you end up picking the 2 teams, you got players on in the Super Bowl. It's really hard to beat you when you got times 4 points.
Right.
Because you got guys in the Super Bowl you've had since the beginning.
Yep.
But there was a year not that long ago where I had seen someone win. I think because we had some upsets and there were some early exits from teams we were expecting to go deep.
Yeah.
Where they had like a hodgepodge team to begin the season with, or begin the playoffs with, and then ended up just kind of repicking some teams, hitting on the teams they repicked on.
Yeah.
So they had like high week 1 and 2 totals, and then they kind of had to start over. But because those totals were so high in the beginning, and everyone else was going out, like with all their teams, ended up winning. So that's really I think harder to do.
Yeah.
But definitely if you can get the 2 teams that are going to the Super Bowl, you're gonna be in the mix, man.
Yeah, because I think I've won this, this league of yours, Brandon, and I've played in it for a long time, man. I remember back when I lived in Schertz at this old house, and I moved here in 2013, so it must have been like 2012 or before. But I've been playing in your league a long time. I ended up winning it that year. I think I had just randomly filled out a lineup for the 49ers and the Ravens, and that just happened to be the 2 teams that went to the Super Bowl that year. Yeah, exactly, the Harbaugh brothers. And I think I was the only person to pick those 2 teams. And for some reason that was the lineup that hit. So every now and then you'll just get lucky and pick 2 teams that. You think will, who knows?
That's how I've always looked at it. It's like I'm gonna, pick a couple teams that I feel really good about and let it ride. If I hit. If not, I'll try again.
It's only $5,
Final rewatch,
right? Yeah.
but yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and it's actually funny. Today I decided to look back because, like you said, Mark, we've been doing playoff challenge for a while, and I went and looked back, and I think it was actually 2007 when I first started doing the playoff challenge.
Wow.
In the first 2 years, maybe 3 years, that the playoff challenge existed through NFL.com, it was a different format.
Yeah.
It was actually more of a value assigned format to where you're given a budget.
Right. Yeah.
Much like the DraftKings or daily fantasy kind of format. And they assign value players. And then week to week, you had to change your lineup based on your budget. The problem was, though, if you had a guy go out in the playoffs, you don't get that spot back.
Oh man.
So it's like and then the guys that advance, like you can keep them in your lineup, or you can change them based on the money that you have available to spend. So it was really like complicated for the casual fan, and even if you're a seasoned vet, it was just a little too overwhelming and hard to think through what your moves are going to be. And then they changed the format to what it is now, where you get the multipliers depending on if your team advances or not. Which I think is a lot more straightforward. It's a lot more forgiving because if you're not done if you got your guys that go out, like just get some new guys and deal with the fact that you're going to have to start over from the multiplier perspective. But it's a great way to just kind of entertain yourself for the playoffs and have something to root for. I mean, I love playoff time. Wildcard weekends are my very favorite weekends.
Oh, mine too. Yeah, I can't wait.
So even without, I could certainly enjoy myself without the playoff challenge, but it just makes it that much more fun.
Yeah,
we all love fantasy so much. So definitely cool to have something extra for watching.
Yeah, me too.
I honestly think next week the divisional round is my favorite.
Okay,
you kind of get rid of some of the garbage that snuck in the playoffs, and then you got the two teams that were on bye coming back out. So it's always a good time. I think that's the best weekend in football.
Yeah, me too. And so just to kind of give you guys some talk about maybe a little bit of sports betting or whatever, who we think is the teams that are going to do well this weekend. We've got a ton of games. I'll just tell you the teams I think are going to win this weekend. I think the Bengals are going to beat the Ravens. I agree. The Bills are going to.
What's the latest on Lamar? Have we heard anything?
Well, no. I heard he's healthy and he's just kind of hanging around the sidelines for. I don't know if they were saving him for the playoffs. I mean, I did hear he's healthy, but he does not have a contract next year, and so this could be his way of just kind of sitting around, kind of like Michael Thomas did last year. When he was healthy and just refused to play.
Yeah.
The guy is probably going to be in the the Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson contract level, $50 million plus per year. And so it may be beneficial for him just to kind of hang around. I don't know. I mean, that's not really being a good sport. No, I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just thinking that might be what he's doing. I don't know. I really don't know what he's doing, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I do think that the Bengals will beat them, even if Lamar Jackson does play. He's rusty. The guy hasn't played, 5 weeks, maybe 7 weeks? I don't know. It's been a while.
And the Bengals are rolling.
Yeah, right? They're rolling.
It's going to be tough to beat them.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I see the Bengals beating the Ravens. I see the Bills beating the Dolphins easily. I don't even think Tua's going to be back. So what is it, the Skylar Thompson guy? He's terrible. So, that's not even going to be close. The Bills are going to rage.
Bridgewater, maybe.
Yeah, the Bills are going to rage on them just like Georgia did TCU today. I see that happening there. And this next one's kind of tough, man. Jags, Chargers. I'm kind of giving the edge to the Chargers just because they got Eckler, they got Keenan Allen. I mean, Mike Williams, I don't know if he's going to be playing or not. I mean, hopefully. But I don't know, man. It's kind of a 50-50. I could see the Jags pulling it off, but I'm kind of thinking that you're leaning the Chargers. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's a coin toss, man.
Yeah,
it's 50-50.
Right. That's how I see it too.
I almost would lead towards the Jags. I feel like they're a little hotter right now.
Mm-hmm. Their defense has been on fire. I mean, I've been playing their defense on one of my fantasy squads. It was playing in the toilet bowl. They got me like 18,
Yeah.
19, 17, whatever for these past 3 or 4 weeks. Their defense has been scoring a ton of fancy points at least.
Yep.
Okay.
And Mark, I think you basically went in my mind and everything I would have said about that game.
Yeah.
To where I would give the edge to the Chargers. I think I just get caught up in the firepower,
Mhm.
right? I mean, that's when you think about the Chargers, you think about all the weapons they have on offense.
Yep.
It's really hard to overlook that. The Jags, I just feel like if they fall behind, let's say they get down like 17-3 going into halftime or whatever, and they gotta go up tempo, and I don't really think they're built for that. Like Trevor Lawrence, I think he's actually took a great step this year.
He did, yeah.
I think he ended up being a pretty decent real life and fantasy quarterback.
Yep.
I don't know if they can really just keep up with the Chargers. If the Chargers are really clicking on offense, I'm not sure they can quite keep up.
Yeah, they tend to kind of like a chameleon team. They tend to either play up or play down to the competition. We all watched them last Saturday playing Tennessee, and that was kind of low scoring game. Like the Jags weren't their typical fire team where he's hitting Zay Jones and who was that tight end? I forget. Used to be in New York. Ingram. Like it wasn't a track and meet game. Let's just put it that way. Like they kind of played down to the competition in a way. Kind of like the Steelers used to do for all these years. I know you're a Steelers fan, my man, but I've seen them kind of play down to the competition for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I mean, right? So it's not a knock on your team, but it's just something I've observed.
You can knock them. There's a lot I have to knock on them.
Yeah, and then over on the NFC side, 49ers Seahawks. Either y'all give Seahawks a chance.
No.
I don't either. Okay.
That's Niners. Niners all the way.
That's what I thought. All right.
But what a season for the Seahawks, though. If they go out in the round, I've never been a Geno Smith supporter or hater.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just been there.
Right?
Yep. For me,
Actually
coming in this year, I'm like, oh my God, Geno Smith is still in the league, kind of thing. And like, I know he would get some spot starts here and there, in his career since he left New York. But I'm just like, Geno Smith as a starter, that just seemed really weird to me. And wow, kudos to him because did you see he broke the record for single season passing record?
I did. I saw that too. So
wow. No, I did not.
He beat Russell Wilson.
That's great.
We always thought, and yeah.
And Geno's not young, right? I mean, I don't know how many years he's been in the league, but he's in his 30s, and for him to kind of come out and do that this year, like I think that's really cool.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
he's I think he kind of had a short leash over there in for the Jets in New York, and I think pretty much all quarterbacks do though in New York. I mean, it's a tough media market. They have no patience for developing a quarterback. I mean, look what they're doing to Zach Wilson right now. Not that he's any good, but he's already gone. Pretty much. I don't see him back next season. And so I think Geno kind of went through that same thing. They just don't have time, a year or two to develop a quarterback. That particular market just doesn't have patience for that. So yeah, they're going to consistently have that quarterback carousel for the New York Jets. Okay, next up. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Vikings Giants. What do y'all think on that one?
I'm gonna have to go Viking. Well, what time is it?
I don't know. I didn't write that
down.
Night
game. Saturday night.
Yeah. Well, it's a Sunday game. I think because I know the Cowboys are on a Monday Night Football game. So.
I think the first game on Sunday is the Bills and Dolphins.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure if they're the midday or the night game.
Okay. Oh, I see where you're getting at, Craig. Yeah, with
as long as it's not a night game.
Yeah, with Kirk,
I'm going Vikings.
Yeah, with Kirk Cousins. Yeah. With the bright lights shining on him, he doesn't do too well, right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I don't fault you at all for taking the Vikings. I mean, I don't know what the line is, but I'm certain they're favored. But
give me
the Giants.
Take the Giants.
Give me the Giants.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to take the Giants. I think that they've surprised everybody, including myself.
Yeah.
I mean, they're projected to be a pretty bad team this year, and Daniel Jones, he can make plays.
Yeah.
Saquon has had a revival this year. So I mean, obviously they are surprisingly proficient on offense, and then their defense is pretty solid too. I mean, it's not awesome, pretty middling, but
same thing.
I think it's enough.
Yeah, same thing with the Vikings. They don't have a good defense either. I mean, you can throw on the Vikings big time. So
For sure. And, the Vikings definitely have more playmakers on offense, but I think the Vikings are going to go into that game, and I don't think many people are going to give them a chance to win. I think they're going to put up a fight, and I will not be surprised. Like if I'm betting straight up, I'm going to take the Giants.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Yeah, I like it, especially if it's a night game, right, Craig? Yeah. But it's not, right? Okay. So last up, Cowboys Bucks. And it's a Monday Night Football game, and I'll tell you what, man. As a Cowboys fan, I'm not overlooking the Bucks. I know that they haven't necessarily had a fantastic season or all, but Brady is almost as old as I am. I think he's like 45 years old. He'll be 46 later this year, and I think that at this advanced stage in his career, I think he's just kind of, coasting through the regular season. It's kind of like what Michael Jordan, and like LeBron James and those guys used to do. They would just kind of get through. I mean, even Kobe Bryant, would just kind of get through the regular season and then boom, playoffs. All right, let's go. You know what I mean? Just all ready to hit. So that could be what's going on here. I mean, they've just kind of been coasting and doing their best to piece some games together and win that division. But, if anybody has, the most playoff experience of any quarterback of all time, it's Tom Brady. And what he did with Mike Evans the other day, I mean, I think he had 52, 54 fantasy points, something like that. You already talked about Godwin being a baller. They got that younger running back. I mean, Fournette has kind of had a bad season, but was that Ricard White? So yeah. I mean, I could see them making some noise is what I'm trying to say. So I'm not overlooking them. I'm not sitting here, going into the game thinking, oh yeah, Cowboys got this in my bag, because I don't think they do. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks actually beat them.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either. This is typically what we see from Cowboys.
Yep.
They do this just every year. They go 12-5, 13. Well, it's the first year 17. They'll go 13-3.
Right.
And just flop in the playoffs. So, that's kind of what I'm expecting. I think we've got Van Der Esch and one of our linemen, defensive linemen too. The nose tackle coming back, and Biotis coming back. So we got, there's people coming back, but I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried about it.
I'm not going in feeling good after seeing the way the Commanders just destroyed the Cowboys the other day.
Yep.
I mean, they completely embarrassed and the Cowboys starters. It's not like the Cowboys said we're going to rest everybody and throw in Cooper Rush and that third string QB or running back guy we got. I forget his name, but it's not like that was our approach. It was all hands on deck. Yeah. We need to win this game, and just got embarrassed. So I'm really not feeling comfortable.
And I think that's true about not necessarily even just the Cowboys playing against the Bucks in the postseason. I don't think anybody wants to play Brady in the postseason.
Right.
I think even if you were a 49ers fan, right, who we all can all agree 49ers are a very strong postseason contender. I think even if you're a 49ers fan, you'd feel nervous just because what Brady does.
Yeah.
It's like it can be just those intangible things, and even if on paper your team is supposed to beat the Bucks, it's like you just never know with him. And so I don't necessarily think it's just the Cowboys matching up against the Bucks and how it is. I think anybody can do that way. I think if I'm going to take, I will take the Cowboys in that game. But the Bucks, they poured it on their last game. With Mike Evans, what he scored
3 touchdowns, 52 points, something like that.
Wow. It makes me wonder, if they're really clicking like that, and Godwin had a nice game too.
Yeah.
Then, that might be hard to keep up with them, but we'll see.
Yep. Yeah, I agree, man. And another thing that kind of spooked me a little bit was the concept of Aaron Rodgers being in the field, and so I'd be lying if I was to say that I wasn't happy with the results last night with Detroit Lions, because they had the chance. I think there was less than 2 minutes left in the game, maybe less than 1 minute left in the game, but they had the chance to go ahead and kick that field goal, and make it a 7-point game, and make Rodgers have to come back down the field, which we've all seen Rodgers do, probably 50 to 100 times in his career. But, I think because it was a game where they were just playing spoiler, they were just like, all right, here's a dart. Boom. Right there. Yep. Kill the clock. We're done. See ya. Nice season. See ya. Neither of us are going to the playoffs. So yeah, I'm not scared of Seattle, but I would be scared for the Cowboys to play Aaron Rodgers, because Green Bay is the Cowboys' kryptonite, especially in the playoffs.
Yep.
So
exactly.
So one stick of kryptonite, ejected from the playoffs. But yeah, but that I was thinking both of those bays, Green Bay and Tampa Bay, would be a force to be reckoned with in these playoffs, because you got two aging quarterbacks that are, getting towards the twilight of their careers and looking to, do what they got to do to win another Super Bowl. And obviously they have the skills to, and the know-how to make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yep.
So, well, I guess that's about it. I know we've been on for a long time tonight. Probably better go ahead and wrap it up. But we can talk another week and talk about how the wild card weekend went. If y'all want to meet sometime next week, let's just kind of wrap up wild card weekend, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about the players we selected for our playoff challenge teams and what we're looking forward to in the divisional round. Does that sound good, guys?
Yeah.
If we could take 1 second, I was really curious if you have one player or one team for next year that you're really zoned in on from a fantasy perspective. Like you want to target players on this particular team or a certain player. Who would that be?
Good one. I'm thinking.
I'll give you mine. What do you think? So you heard us talking about the Jags and Chargers. I had mentioned about how I really don't know if the Jags can keep up with the Chargers and so forth. But really, I think that the lead that I had seen that Lawrence and that offense took under Doug Peterson this year, I really think they're going to take another step. I think that offense is going to be extremely good. They have the right pieces with ETN. Zay Jones came out of nowhere to say, hey, I actually am what I was drafted for in real life this year. I don't know if they'll have. They'll have Kirk. They'll have Kirk. They just paid Kirk. They'll have Kirk. And Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley.
I was about to say that, Brandon. I was about to say that. Yeah, the $5,000 gambler. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. We got Ridley coming back. He's still young. I know he's been off for 2 years, but he's still young. He's a phenomenal talent. Evan Ingram. So, I mean, they have pieces there. So what I'm trying to say is give me the Jaguars offense next year.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man, because I'm right there with you, but the only risk there is it could have been a flash in the pan. That's the only thing is, like I kind of have to see a little consistency before I'm all in, but I'm with you, man. If you were to take a chance on somebody, I think that's a good lottery ticket for sure. I mean, you're right.
Yeah,
they're hot.
Yeah. I like it. It's a good thought. I'll give you one. Breece Hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's solid.
He came out really strong for me this year. He was a draft pick, one that I took a flyer on, in a later round, and he was paying off for sure. I was nervous about. I think a lot of people were nervous about him just being on the Jets.
Yeah,
and that didn't seem to matter at all. So, I'll be looking for him early next year.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, of course, for me, I'll just take the easy one, take Cooper Kupp. Because I'm going to select him as a keeper in our league, guys, and just hope that continues to pan out.
Hey, we better than Waller.
Trading for him too, by the way.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, I had Mixon sitting there, and I had no chance of making the playoffs. So it's like, well, you can take this, take this piece right here for somebody that can't help you for the rest of this season. Yeah.
Mixon didn't end up helping him get third place.
Nope. Did not work out. No, it didn't. Hey, it's a gamble, guys. Yeah.
Cool. Yep. Absolutely. Cool. All right, guys. Well,
all right, fellas.
Let's do this after Wild Card weekend sometime.
Yeah.
We'll do a recap and talk about fantasy playoffs.
Sounds good, fellas. All right.
Cool.
Cool. Absolutely, man. Always good having you on, Brandon.
Yeah, always good.
Cool. All right, guys.
All right. See you next week.
Peace.